We can be prepared for any such circumstances. As soon as you feel the earthquake, hide your body under a table to protect yourself. When the shaking has stopped, shut off the gas valves and turn off the electricity, and locate your way of exit by opening the doors. If you're coming out of a multi-story building, use the stairs and definitely not the elevators. When outside the building, rush to an open field and cover your head while en route. Finally, tune into a broadcasting channel and keep yourself updated on what's happening and what to do next. But remember, prevention is the best solution. This campaign is brought to you by BFM Busan 영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Establishing a national strategy department for AI, increasing the social safety net for senior citizens, enhancing a benefits program to support South Korea's top scientific talent, and fostering a stronger research environment. So, what are these? What did I just say? These are pledges from the presidential candidates. Yes. They have started to flow. So which ones do you like? That is the big question. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, May 9th, here on BEFM, Busan 영어방송. Good morning, wavers, to all the early birds out there. It is here, Friday. It certainly feels like we just started the work week, and then our favorite day, it's here again, once again. And for those of you who have not peeked out your window, yes, it is raining, or at least it was when we all headed into the studio. So, you're going to need your umbrella today. Let me ask you this. Are all of your kind of family month events over? Or maybe do you have more plans for the upcoming weekend? Well, the size of these family gatherings, they have gone down considerably in the past decade or so, with most families have just one or two children. That is definitely the trend. This being Family Month, and with the snap presidential election coming up real soon, we're hearing a lot about family-related policies, including parental leave. But these policies might seem unrealistic, or maybe they don't apply to certain group, namely business owners or self-employed individuals. So we're talking about 자영업자. So while those who work for others legally get time off when their children are born, many business owners cannot afford to do so. You may think that this is a choice. As business owners and self-employed people, by definition of their job, they have control over their hours. But when you factor in things like money, which most likely will get tighter with, an additional family member, they feel like they have no choice but to stay at work. And the government announced its 5 key tasks for work-life balance. We talk about this all the time, whatever. And the thing is this. These do not include any policies for business owners. By the way, this is because parental leave and childcare leave are covered under employment insurance, 고용보험. So business owners are not covered under the system. And that's the issue. So what about other countries? 다른 나라는 어떨까요? So 10 European countries, including Germany and France, have parental leave normalized for business owners. Sweden and Germany pay up to 77 and 65% of the parent's annual salary, respectively, for paid leave. That's pretty significant, right? The major parties in South Korea discussed this platform during the last general election, but there hasn't been much progress since then. And as we do have another presidential election coming up real soon, this is an opportunity to get the ball rolling on this important issue. So I know among our listeners, the waivers out there, we have many business owners. And wouldn't you love to have this, in the, on the platform for the presidential candidates to have this, talked about it, at least discussed to get the ball rolling. So that is what we're talking about this morning. Now, for a text topic, are you ready? Later on the program, we're going to talk about hiking. Okay, so I want to know all about your hiking preferences. First of all, be honest with me. 우리 솔직하게 대화 좀 해볼게요. 자, 우선, do you really like hiking? Be honest with me. I know. Okay. 예지 PD and I. PD님 저랑 우리 둘 다 지금 저는 마음속으로 하고 있었고요. PD님 벌써 저도 솔직히 좋아하진 않아요. I do it because I have to. I don't really call it a hike. I call it taking a walk. Speed walking. Okay. 룸메이트랑 손잡고 걸어요. 네. 억지로 끌려다녀요. I do it for my health, yes. And do you really enjoy hiking or not? And where do you like to go? Where do you go? And most importantly, what's your favorite? Okay, I was gonna go with what's your favorite post-hike meal? But 그거 전에 트레킹 코스 어디로 가세요? 그것도 물어볼게요. 자, 여러분의 선호하는 등산, 하이킹, 트레킹 코스 먼저 물어보고요. 그 다음에 등산 마치고 나서 드시고 싶은 음식. Like afterwards, there's like so many places to go. After you go, after the torturous hiking, you enjoy all the, some people enjoy the 막걸리 or like the 두부, the kimchi, whatever. There's so many like combinations of food that you can enjoy. So let me know, be honest, do you really enjoy the trekking, the hiking, etc.? You can send in your opinion to BFM's live stream, live chat. We have a very lively chat room. So to find us, you can go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송, and then you subscribe. You can log in and then chat with our other waivers from your phone. Pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. And we are also available on Kakao Talk. So same thing there. Search for us. Add us as a friend. BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. The good thing about this, you can send in photos too. So you can send in photos of your hiking. Yes, you can. And if you have photos of food, that's even better. After your hike, yes. I'm 생각만 해도 군침대 도네요. About the food, not about the hiking. And you can listen to us on 90.5 and 103.3 FM on the radio. Like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. You can watch at your leisure, and two apps, the BFM app and the 팟빵 app that you can download. You can listen to Waggle on the latter app. Looking at our Friday morning together, we have Casey coming up for Foreign Press Highlights, and then we have Andrew Millard coming up for Global Affairs. That's in hour number 2. For our special interview, we're going to get an expert's take on Warren Buffett's retirement, because this kind of took everybody this was a surprise. Everybody knew that, he's getting up there in age, but people thought that he would not step down, not at this point. What does this mean for Berkshire Hathaway and beyond, and for the financial world? What does this mean? That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It is now 7:08, and this is News Overview. American Robert Prevost elected Pope. Robert Francis Prevost has become the first clergyman from the United States to lead the Roman Catholic Church to be known as Pope Leo XIV. Kim Moon-soo, Han Duck-soo end second meeting without agreement. The second meeting between People Power Party candidate Kim Moon-soo and former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo yesterday ended without an agreement on their candidate unification as Kim's rift with the party deepens. Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo condemned North Korea's ballistic missile launch. Senior officials from South Korea, the United States, and Japan jointly denounced North Korea's short-range ballistic missile launch yesterday, agreeing to respond firmly to Pyongyang's provocations and threats through close trilateral collaboration. Yoon Suk-yeol to attend criminal hearing next week via above-ground arrival. The Seoul High Court said yesterday former President Yoon Suk-yeol should attend the third hearing of his criminal trial on insurrection charges next week via ground parking lot, which would expose his arrival to the public and the press for the first time. U.S. and U.K. reach first tariff deal. The United States and the United Kingdom have reached a new agreement where the U.S. will reduce import taxes on a set number of British cars and allow some steel and aluminum into the country tariff-free. And this was News Overview. It's time to say hi to Sejin for Now in Busan. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Morning, I know.
Yes. So, hey, before we get into Now in Busan, I do want to get your honest thoughts on hiking. Are you into it? It's okay. I forgive you if you are into
I'm
it.
not much of hiking person,
Join the club, three of us.
but I would rather run marathon instead.
Oh, you're more of a runner than a hiker.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So if you were to hike, or maybe, okay, so you're into running. So where do you like running?
Actually, I ran for a marathon a few weeks ago in Hyundai.
Oh, like a full marathon?
Yeah, it was 8 kilometers marathon. It was not much, but it was my first time.
And
I made it. I nailed it. So,
but 8 kilometers is good. Like, because, as our producer says, she's like, she's not much of a runner, not much of a hiker. So she's like, oh, that's good. Right?
Yeah.
I get dragged along on like any form of exercise, like, cause like my roommate is hardcore into like exercising, like every day. Like it's like so disgusting, like every day.
but doesn't she
Right.
get you motivated to?
Not really. It annoys me. Because I hear like the clink of like the weights. Because he has like a workout station in the house. 그러니까 매일 그 들으니까 약간 짜증나요. Like, like the weights. Oh, it's 좀. So I shut the room, the bedroom door. I'm just like, I try to like tune it out. But anyhow, yes, it's not motivating.
I would use it every day if I were you.
That's
But,
what
yeah.
other members of the family say, but not I. Yes. Anyhow, we're going to jump into our first update. So there has been a major turn in the Ga덕do Airport project. So let's hear it.
Yes, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport has
Yes.
started cancelling the contract process with Hyundai Engineering and Construction. The decision came after Hyundai refused to revise its proposed timeline for the project.
Right. Just in case our listeners don't remember, can you remind them how much longer were they asking for?
Hyundai had submitted a plan to build a site in 9 years, which is 2 years longer than the original plan. But
Yes.
the ministry had asked them to revise that and explain the reason for extension.
Right.
But Hyundai said they wouldn't be making any changes.
So what was the reason for needing more time?
They say the site conditions are far more complex than expected. Stabilizing the seabed in itself would take an extra 17 months.
Sure.
And unlike the original plan, which had seawall and land reclamation work, which is 메리공사 in Korean, happening at the same time, Hyundai says to ensure safety, they need to build part of seawall first, which would take another 7 months.
So what happens now?
The ministry says the contract can move forward under the current law. So now they're working on a new plan to keep the project safe and on a schedule. They've already set up a task force to review Hyundai's proposal from a technical perspective. And on May 13th, an expert panel will meet to figure out the best way possible forward.
I see. So could there be a new bidding process, like a rebid?
Yes, there's one of options on the table. But if they go down that road, it will take months because they'll have to issue a new tender and start design again from scratch.
Oh my goodness. So we just don't know what will happen. Of course, we'll keep an eye on this because this is, of course, so important to our city and the region, this airport. So
Indeed.
this is a debacle. And now on to another major story locally. There's been an update on that deadly resort fire here in Busan.
Yes, the fire that killed 6 workers at the 반얀트리 resort site in Busan County was linked to serious permit-related corruption.
So what exactly happened?
Police say the resort was approved for use before the construction was actually finished. And the developers and contractors knew it wasn't ready, but they allegedly pressured and briefed inspectors to submit full safety reports to local authorities.
Oh my goodness, so they bribed the inspectors, and why would they do that?
The developers had signed a loan agreement worth billions of won. To avoid financial penalties, they needed to get the resort approved for use before November this year. So they faked document to speed things up. Police said one fire safety inspector received millions of won in cash in return for signing a fake report. There were also luxurious meal vouchers handed out to public officials. Some were actually found to be used, but officials involved are reportedly denying any wrongdoing, saying that permit was issued in accordance with a law.
Yes. So to remind our listeners of what actually happened.
It broke out in February during welding work.
Yes.
6 people died and 4 others were injured. Investigators say basic safety protocols weren't followed at the site.
So where does the case stand right now?
So far, 8 people have been arrested, including top officials from the construction and development companies. And 29 more, including public officials, have been booked without detention. And the case is now heading to the court.
Once again, I mean, a huge tragedy where lives were lost. So we'll see, of course, what happens in this case. Now let's move on. I hear that a new bus service is coming to one of Busan's newer districts.
Yes. Busan is launching a provisional public bus service for Ecodelta시티, which is in Gangseong-gu. It's the first project of its kind in South Korea.
Yes.
You might wonder why now? Because areas is growing fast and around 5,000 households are expected to move in by this October.
Okay.
But public transport there is still very limited,
Right.
and residents have been struggling to get around.
True. So what is the plan?
Starting late next year, 2 new bus routes will run from the Ecodelta시티. One goes to Myeongji and National Assembly Library. The other goes through Gangsa Police Station and on to Hadan. And buses will come every 30 to 35 minutes.
Yes.
When it comes to bus fares, it will match local village bus fares, 1,481 by card, and transfers with other public transport will still apply.
I see. So will this make much of a difference?
Yes, at the moment, people are waiting 35 to 40 minutes just for a bus. And now officials expected average wait time to be dropped by about 15 minutes.
That will make a huge difference for the people who live there, for people who want to visit as well. So
It is.
Yes, much appreciated. All right, next up, I hear that Busan has a food festival with a twist. So what is this about?
Busan will host its 10th original downtown revitalization festival, better known as 택시기사들이, from May 16th to 18th.
So what is this?
It's a mix of taxi and Michelin. Experienced taxi drivers introduce their favorite hidden gems in Busan, and there's a book for this called 택시기사들이 Guidebook. In the book, it lists must-try restaurant, cafes, scenic spots, and driving tips and interviews. Based on surveys from over 250 drivers, and locals also recommended hidden dessert spot. And for visitors from abroad, there's also English version.
Oh, yay. So when does this begin?
The opening ceremony is on May 16th.
Yes.
At Busan Station Square at 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
It will feature an award ceremony for a listed restaurant, plus a chance to try an exclusive full course meal developed for this event.
Ooh, sounds very fancy. Is it free?
I'm afraid it's not.
Oh, no.
But it's a great deal because
Okay.
the meal includes a specially prepared platter and dessert. You can have a full course platter and experience based on dishes from the winning restaurant. Tickets are approximately 14,000 won per person,
Oh, that's not bad.
and it's reservation only.
Okay. You lost me at it's not free. No, I'm just kidding. 14,000 won, that's still reasonable. So, anytime where there is food and it's, curated by people who know really good food, I'm there. So thank you so much for all the local updates. We'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you.
Welcome.
Everybody, this was Sejin once again, and I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning. Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for your traffic report right now. There is an accident being reported on the Dongso overpass coming into the city right past the Jinyang ramp. Also congested on Luno Samsungdaedo before the Byungji underpass going toward Shinho Bridge. Also congested on Gwanmundaedo from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegyang Tunnel. And looking slow on Bandokdaedo from Sukdung to Deokcheon intersection. It's currently 14 degrees Celsius and it's raining here in Busan. The rain will last all day with a daytime high going up to 19 degrees Celsius. Looking ahead to the weekend, partially sunny skies tomorrow into Sunday. For tomorrow, you can expect lows of 14, a high of maybe 20, and on Sunday, a low of 11 and a high of 22. And we have a public service announcement from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety regarding heavy rain and strong winds. In areas where it is raining, traffic congestion is expected. So please use public transportation if possible. If you must drive, reduce your speed. Due to heavy rain, there is a risk of retaining wall or embankment collapse. Avoid construction sites and areas near mountains. Check and reinforce outdoor signboards, greenhouses, and old livestock sheds in advance to prevent damage from strong winds. And this was once again a PSA from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. And this was also your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the house. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Friday.
Yay, happy Friday.
Yay. Do you really like hiking?
I do. I have
Really?
I've begun to like hiking. I think, by the way, I did lie on our YouTube chat yesterday because somebody asked if somebody assumed I was in my late 20s and I was like, I'll take it. I'm not. I was once upon a time. I'm like staunchly in my mid 30s. And as I shifted from my early to mid 30s, I started to like hiking. Yeah. And your eyes are dead. Like,
Sorry.
thanks for trying to care, but no, your eyes are, they
I
don't
have
lie.
to laugh demurely.
So I do, and that's actually not today because there's rain. I'm surrounded by
Waggle
enemies.
사야 돼요.
But I like to go hiking on Fridays because that's my easy day. And send a photo to our site. We'll see if it gets posted. But I like to bring like a little fruit bowl in my Tupperware and a book. Because there's a certain rock that I like to read on.
Oh,
Anyways,
I've seen you on that rock.
Right.
Like, I mean, not
like
literally.
with me because she wouldn't go.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm trying to, it's like a one-woman mission
Yes.
to get a BFM like hiking club started, like 등산 동호회. And I know two people who will not be joining and they are in the room with me. I know. I'm not
I
even
will
going to
like
ask.
your post.
Yeah. I'll
How's that?
send you pictures. And you
Yes.
guys can join for the post hike. I'm a fan of 오리불고기. There we go. That's my picture. Yeah, it's
Look
it's
at
got
her
a
cute
nice
little
view.
legs
I know,
dangling
seriously, it looks
almost.
so short, so short. But yeah, it's got a little fruit platter. You guys can join me for the
포도
오리불고기.
되게 통통하다. 근데.
장난 아니죠? Oh, it's so good.
샤인머스켓.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
네.
Anyways, that's that.
Yes. So we're going to dive into our first story because we have many stories today. It's all about the new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th.
Right. So, Chicago-born American Robert Prevost has been elected Pope under the name Pope Leo the 14th. So that's the Roman numeral X1V that you'll see. So he is 69 years old. First American to be elected the leader of the Catholic Church because this is very significant because the Vatican has held a long-standing opposition to a U.S. Pope, but of course that's changed as of now.
Yes.
So in the afternoon on Thursday local time, you saw that very symbolic white smoke billowing from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, and followers, pilgrims, some 50,000 people who had gathered at St. Peter's Square cheering.
Right.
And the Prevost and Mr. Cardinal Prevost, now Pope, was chosen on the second day of voting, fairly quick after the fourth ballot. And that's because during one of the pre-conclave meetings that we know now, the cardinals agreed that a new Pope needed to be capable of being a bridge and a guide for a disoriented humanity marked by the crisis of the world order.
Yes, yes. So you can see on our Note 2 page the white smoke, right? That came out. So what do we know about the new Pope?
Right. Again, he was born in Chicago, but he actually has not only American background, but Latin American background. So he moved to Peru in his earlier career as a priest and also acquired Peruvian nationality. And he served as a priest there for a long time where he became the bishop, archbishop, and cardinal. He's fondly remembered locally as a figure who worked with marginalized communities and again helped build bridges. That was also a phrase from his speech. Pope Francis, late Pope Francis, he actually promoted the Cardinal Prevost, now Pope, through several ranks, bishop, archbishop, then cardinal. In terms of his views, he's viewed as a minor reformist. Prevost is believed to have shared Francis's view, especially when it came to migrants, the underprivileged, and the environment. And also, while he was serving as cardinal, Prevost publicly criticized the Trump administration's deportation of the U.S. resident to El Salvador, and also flat out said that Vice President J.D. Vance is wrong and said that Jesus does not ask us to rank our love for others.
Interesting. So once again, the new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th. That's what we know thus far. And moving on to our next story for news, the ruling People Power Party, the PPP presidential candidacy, it is getting so complicated, convoluted. I mean,
and the drama unfolded in front of cameras. But before we get to that very public spat, the division between the People Power Party itself and its now for the time being official candidate, Kim Moon-soo, that division is getting deeper and deeper. So this surprise press conference, we were supposed to report on it because it was scheduled for 8:30 yesterday morning. It was delayed and delayed to right after we went off air.
Yes.
So let's continue where we left off. Yesterday morning, candidate Kim Moon-soo said that the party is forcing this candidate switch, trying to drag him out of the race, and said that this could even get into a legal dispute. And he later told KBS that he is planning to file an injunction. And he stated that he is exercising, the candidate himself, his right to party affairs as stipulated in the party's constitution. So Kim Moon-soo proposed a week-long competition between him and Han Deok-soo to hold a televised debate next Wednesday with a public opinion poll to follow the coming 2 days to see who should take the candidacy in the unification.
I see.
And he also called on the party leadership to basically bluntly take your hands off the affair.
Ooh, so what did Han Duck-soo say about this?
Han is sticking to the point that he's going to let the party make decisions. And also, the candidacy unification should happen on or before the 11th. And that is the final day of the National Election Commission's candidate registration.
Yes.
And also, this is a very practical point because there's a lot of money riding on it. Because he is currently running as an independent.
Right.
If he's not registered as a PPP official candidate, he cannot get the party's funding. So
Yes.
he actually has to run out of pocket. As for the PPP itself, yesterday was actually the final day to put in the order for campaign literature. This is so logistics. But the thing is, right now, they don't have time to get it around nationwide to get the campaign promos running.
I see. So, a lot to unfold, right? Well, let's get to the party's position.
Because the party itself had very strong words for its candidate Kim Moon-soo. So floor leader Kwon Sung-dong said that Kim Moon-soo's press conference was, quote, pathetic and pitiful to hold on to his candidacy. Kwon called on Kim to follow the blueprint or roadmap for unification, and it's been pushing on with this automatic response survey over the phone over their party members on unification. Here it showed that 86.7% of the party members were in favor of a candidate unification.
I see.
So pundits see this as a way for the party to pressure Kim, and the party's emergency committee leader Kwon Young-se also said that they will take the necessary steps based on these survey results.
Yes, yes. By the way, all of this happened in the morning, right? All of this before Kim and Han met in the afternoon. And so this meeting, I hear, also ended with no results.
Right, but what made it different is that this happened in front of camera. So
Right.
let's take a listen.
지금은 이랬습니다.
아니 하루 이틀을 왜 연대요?
그러니까
왜 일주일을 기다려요?
제가 이제
22번이나 말씀하시면서 다 준비하셨어요.
아니 100번을 이야기했지만은 지금 우리 당의 경선 과정도 알고 계시죠? 우리 후보님께서 한덕수 후보님께서는 그럼 어디서 오셔가지고 저보고 빨리 단일화를 하자 이야기하시는 내가 당신이 책임 있지 않느냐 단일화 안 하면 당신 책임이 아니냐
책임 있으신 거죠.
이렇게 말씀하시거든요.
This is a clip from JTBC, and please keep in mind that this is edited for brevity to get the
Yes.
main points across to you. But you can hear how, let's just say, dynamic the spat between the candidates, but also their supporters who are
Yes.
yelling many things. But to give you the gist of it, Han to Kim said, basically, you know, he didn't follow his own words during the primaries of unification. Why would you want to wait a week? You've said 22 times that he was going to merge the candidacy. And then Kim To-han, basically, why are you jumping in now? Essentially he actually called him a freeloader. Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave that story there for now. And now we're going to move on to our next story. Good news for people who have their savings in the bank, because apparently the government is increasing its protection of bank deposits.
Right. So very quickly, right now the cap on bank deposits, 예금자 보호 한도, is 5천만 원, 50 million won.
Right.
Starting September, this will go up to 1억 won, 100 million won. Financial Services Commission earlier this week said it's working on applying this from September 1st. It is working with the relevant banks. South Korea's deposit guarantee, this figure, 5천만 원, 50 million, was set in 2001. It's remained the same for over 2 decades. And this, compared to the GDP, is actually quite low at just 1.2 times. When we look at the US, it's 3.1 times their national GDP per capita.
Yes.
And UK and Japan also over double. So they're matching it to the other developed countries.
Yes, and so this applies to both commercial banks and credit unions as well?
Right, so we're talking about 1금융 and 2금융.
Okay.
And this is likely going to increase subscribers and customers for the credit unions 2금융, because they do tend to offer higher interest rates, and now there's more security. However, keep in mind, we'll have to see when everything unfolds. If they do have more subscribers, they might not have the incentive to offer you higher interest rates. So we'll have to see. But once again, starting at least later this year, your deposits per bank will be protected completely up to 100 million won.
I see. Thanks for the good information. All right, now for this story. It is college application season for early admissions, and students and parents we obsess. We do over university rankings.
There's a
right?
little like rhyme, right?
How does it go? I don't
I mean,
remember.
I won't say that on air, but yeah.
Yeah, there is. But for this story, we're going to look at South Korean rankings, but in terms of the global rankings.
Because this is the age of globalization.
Yes.
So rankings for South Korean universities compared to other schools worldwide, but also Asia, it's weakened. It's not as strong as it used to be.
Yes.
By contrast, Chinese universities, their status has elevated significantly. This is based on the Institute Times Higher Education's World and Asian University rankings for this year.
Yes.
Looking at the Asian list, Seoul National University, Seouldae, slid to 15th place. It's been falling for the last couple years, 11th to 14th to 15th this year. Yonsei came in 19th. A little bit of good news for KAIST, went up by one slot to 17th. Sungkyunkwan University to 19th place.
Okay.
This is a combination of research quality, research environment, educational environment, industry, and international outlook.
Sure.
That's Korea. What's notable this year, Chinese universities basically dominated the top list. Tsinghua University and Peking Beijing University in
Yes.
top 2, 1 and 2 respectively. Third and fourth are Singapore. Fifth was University of Tokyo, but basically universities from mainland China accounted for half of the top 10.
So, in a nutshell, why? Why are the Chinese universities dominating?
It's usually money, right? It does go into funding because what funds research?
Yes.
Money. Right.
True.
And Beijing's government, the Chinese government launched this double first-class project. So they're gunning to foster first-class universities and departments. And of the 137 schools that were selected, 42 of them have shown double the performance rate. So basically
Yes.
full backed support. And the thing is, though, compared to the other top Asian universities,
Yes.
South Korean schools scored relatively low in internationalization. And that's determined by the ratio of international students, professors, and international research. So we know what areas to improve on. Another area, research and education environment. So PhDs, excellent research papers, and again, funding. So that is the takeaway.
I see. For a final story, we actually have full figures on how much it's going to take to restore the national heritage burned in the Yeongnam fires.
Right. So we're talking about the Gyeongnam and Gyeongbuk fires.
Yes.
According to the National Heritage Service yesterday, based on their joint inspection with the Interior Ministry, it's going to cost 48.8 billion won to restore and recover the national heritage sites and treasures. So we're talking about treasures, national monuments, natural monuments, folk heritage, and local heritage, including the temple Gonsa that completely burned down in Uiseong that had been
Yes.
standing for 1,000 years. So the Heritage Service will fully store its restorations next year. In the meantime, this year will be for planning, emergency recovery, and getting the necessary materials.
Oh, goodness. So now we know. So thank you for going over extensively all the news. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And with that, we are due for our first song. This is 안녕 나의 사랑. This is by 성시경.
벌써 이 거리에 날 비웃듯이 가는 흐르네 눈부신 햇살 얼굴을 가리면 빨갛게 손끝은 물들어가 몰래 동그라미 그려놨던 달력위 숫자 어느덧 내일 제일 맘에 드는 옷 펼쳐놓고서 넌 어떤 표정일까 나 생각해 해맑은 아이 같은 그대의 눈동자 그 미소가 자꾸 밟혀서 눈에 선의 한숨만은 웃음만 그대 힘겨운 하루의 끝 이젠 누가 지킬까 누가 위로할까 내 턱 끝까지 숨이 차올라 내 머리 위로 바람이 불어온다 온 힘을 다해 나는 달려간다 이게 마지막 선물이 아무렇지 않게 웃으며 안녕 나의 사랑 그대 미안해 하루에도 몇 번씩 나눴던 잘 잤어 보고 싶다는 인사 그리울 때면 꺼내볼 수 있게 하나하나 내 맘에 담고네 해맑은 아이 같은 그대의 눈동자 그 미소가 자꾸 밟혀서 눈에서 내 한숨만 웃음만 그대 힘겨운 하루의 끝 이젠 누가 지킬까 누가 위로할까 내 턱 끝까지 숨이 차올라 내 머리 위로 바람이 불어온다 온 힘을 다해 나는 달려간다 이게 마지막 선물이 될지도 어떻게 그대 없는 내일 아침을 빛나요 수많은 밤들 견딜 수 있을까 웃으며 안녕 길 건너 멀리 네가 보인다 지루했나봐 발끝만 바라보네 온 힘을 다해 나는 달려간다 이제 마지막 인사가 될지도 몰라 눈물이 흘러 아니 내 얼굴 가득히 흐르는 땀방울 나 없을 때 아프면 안 돼요 바보처럼 자꾸 울면 안 돼요 괜찮을 거야 잘 지내요 그대 나의 사랑 그대 안녕
It is time for Casey and Foreign Press Highlights. Hello, look lively.
Oh, am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you?
I'm lively.
Are
It's
you
Friday.
alive?
I had to wake up extra early today because I took the subway because it's like it was supposed to rain and it's really raining-ish.
Raining-ish.
It's not what I expected.
Yeah, it's sprinkling.
Yeah.
At this point, right?
Yeah, so I
But
woke up
it might
extra
rain
early.
later on because, like, I told everybody you need an umbrella today. So I hope, not that I hope it rains, but like,
Just
'cause
so
I
you're
told
right.
everybody.
I told you
I told you.
to bring that umbrella.
Hey, text topic time.
Okay, come on. Hit me with it.
Do you really enjoy hiking, or do you? Be honest.
Look at this body. Does this body look like it likes hiking? No, I hate it. I hate it. No, hiking.
I find your honesty refreshing. So I like the fact that you don't pretend to like it.
I like walking. I like walking.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I enjoy taking a stroll. I like
Sure.
walking.
But hiking like implies like some arduous, I don't know, activity that you're like.
And the full regalia, right?
Oh yeah. Like you'll never see me not wearing what I'm not wearing now. Like this,
Right,
this
right.
is actually a little snazzy
Oh,
for me.
snazzy.
This is a little dressed up. But like, yeah, like what am I gonna
Yes.
buy? Like hiking. Actually, I did. You know what? I did buy like mountain running shoes by kind of mistake.
By mistake.
Yeah, I was like the bottom was like really hard, and I was
Right.
like, why?
No, but the
what's
thing is,
going
we don't want to make fun of it because some people take it really seriously.
Understood.
Right. No. So
Understood.
it's a
I'm
thing.
not making fun.
No.
I'm just saying I'm so lazy. I can't be bothered to like dress
Right,
differently.
Join the club. Join the club.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So let's jump into our first story. What's it about? Where's it from?
Well, this one I didn't see this coming to Korea.
Yes.
Did you get vaccinated against measles when you were young?
That's what my mom says.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, I'm kind of like, I assume so.
Well, I assume I was because
We
at
had
least
to
in
be,
the state
right?
of California, you have to be vaccinated before you enter school.
Right,
Yes.
because measles is a very contagious disease.
It is.
Yeah.
It was lumped together. It's called an MMR.
Oh, I did that. Measles, mumps,
and
rubella.
Oh, there we go. Jinx. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, a double jinx? I
If
don't know what
it's
happens.
jinx, then we can't speak. PD님 괜찮아요? 방송사고인데.
PD, you take over.
Okay. 자. Okay.
Okay,
so
sorry.
no jinx.
Well, the reason that this was in the news is because this is from The Guardian. Measles cases hit 6-year high in South Korea amid outbreaks across Southeast Asia. And I was like, what? So have you been talking about this?
We've talked about this because it's like in the States, definitely.
Yeah.
There have been measles outbreaks.
Right. Texas
but-
especially.
Yeah. But all around the world, there have been outbreaks here and there.
Yeah. So what's
Yes.
going on? Well, according to the Korean Disease Control and Prevention Agency this week, they said South Korea has confirmed 52 cases so far this year. And you might be thinking, like, what month is this now? May? Are we in May?
Yeah.
So okay, to me, I was like, I don't have any.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, I don't know. So they compared it to last year, the
And
entire
last
year.
year?
Only 49 for the entire year. So we've already hit more than the
But
entire
this is,
year.
I thought measles was like eradicated here.
I thought so too.
I thought it should be at 0 because there's a vaccine. No?
Right.
I don't know.
But that's an issue. There's a pushback against vaccines, especially in North America, let's say.
Right.
And actually, the last time that there were this many cases in Korea
Right,
was
right.
2019 when they actually recorded 194 cases. So we hope it doesn't get that high. Like, we're hoping that stays in the past. But we'll see what happens.
Yes, and someone's asking, measles가 홍역이에요? 네, 맞아요. That's correct.
홍역?
Souvenir. 홍역, yes.
Hongyuk.
Yes.
Okay. So Hongyuk is a problem because actually, according to the World Health Organization, South Korea was recognized as measles-free in 2014, so nearly 10 years ago. But they think overseas travel is behind a little bit of it, and also the aging population, they say, are thought to have contributed to the rise in the number of cases. This current outbreak, however, has been attributed to unvaccinated travelers from overseas. Of the 52 cases reported this week, 34 of them were from overseas, and mostly from Vietnam.
I see. So it's from mostly from overseas.
Right.
So do we need to be worried about it spreading?
That's what when I saw the headline, I was like, oh no. But according to a KDCA official, the global increase in measles is likely to result in more imported cases. So we'll probably see more of it.
Okay.
But the risk of rapid outbreaks remains low because of when they say they mean in South Korea, stable vaccination rates and the monitoring system. So I'm like, okay, that sounds like good news to me. But if you haven't vaccinated your children, this is good news to know. According to infectious disease experts, the 2-dose measles vaccination in childhood is around 99% effective in stopping someone from getting measles. And you don't want measles. It's like painful from what I understand.
And the thing is this, here in Korea, everything is like online. So you
Right.
have an online record from what I understand. Like if
I should
your
get
kids,
to the records.
if
Yeah,
your-
I'm pretty sure our
I'm
kids
pretty
are.
sure like, if your kids were born in Korea or, your records are online.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to note because I have records, being an American citizen, they were only on paper. And they were like,
Was it yellow?
the yellow card.
The yellow card. Yeah.
And then it's like, does every doctor know what's on my yellow card? Like, I was never clear on how the doctors know.
So even for my kids, they had the yellow card. It folds out.
Right.
And then when I came
It
to
looks
Korea,
like a board game that you can take with you.
I brought the yellow card and they were looking at it like, what is this?
What is this, right?
이게 뭐예요?
What century did you get your vaccination in?
So I whipped out the yellow card. 진짜 이렇게 3단으로 이렇게 접혀 있어요.
Right.
And then the 소아과 선생님, he's like, what is this? I was like,
It's the game of life.
this
Would
is
you like
what
to play?
they gave me. And so he looked at it, and obviously, because he's a medical doctor, he can
Right.
read everything in English. I was 네. And then so he looked at it, and then whatever,
Whatever you're supposed to get.
and
for
then
your
whatever
children.
else
Right.
that they needed, my kids got. So it was
Cool.
okay. We were okay. Yes,
Okay.
so,
I'm gonna check with my wife today and just to make sure.
Right.
Because you're right. It's an easy to access system, and that's basically what the official is saying. Because we can find this information easily.
Sure.
it's not as big of a concern here.
Yes, yes. So are other countries having outbreaks besides Korea and the U.S.?
Yeah, the U.S. is big in the news with it, right? So they did mention, Vietnam was where a lot of the cases are coming from here. Big problem in Vietnam right now. They said, according to the Vietnamese Health Ministry, they've identified around 40,000 suspected measles cases and 5 deaths already just this year.
Yes.
So they are trying to speed up the vaccination of children there because children are susceptible as well as older adults. They're the most susceptible because measles is the most infectious communicable disease according to experts, and a lot of the deaths occurred. They said last year there were 13 deaths in Vietnam. Most of the deaths occurred among children and older people, especially with underlying health conditions.
Once again, that's scary when we hear death associated with any illness.
Especially with a disease that we just kind of take for granted has disappeared.
Exactly, when there's a vaccine for it, right?
Right.
Well, for now, though, we're going to move on to our next story because, we want to inform. We don't want to alarm people.
No, but just, make sure vaccines have been done. That's it.
Yes, yes. All right, let's move on to our next story.
Okay, this one is from CNN, an American publication, and it's all about the haenyeo. Do you think you could ever do it? Do you think you could pull it off?
I love to swim.
Okay.
But I can't hold my breath for that long, so no.
There's a key.
Yes.
Holding your breath for that long. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, haenyeo dive year-round off Jeju Island. They collect everything from sea urchin to abalone to other seafood from the ocean floor without equipment. That means basic equipment. And I might have included a picture that you could see. They have like the masks that they use now and flipper fins.
But they don't use...
No oxygen tank.
Oxygen tanks. That's the whole point, right.
And they go as far as 18 meters beneath the surface multiple times over the course of like 4 to 5 hours each day. They do it while they're pregnant. Like through pregnancy.
Really?
Well into old age, because most of the women doing it now are in their older years. And so people have kind of wondered, like, how are they able to do this?
Sure.
So the headline is, did South Korea's legendary female freedivers evolve for a life underwater?
Evolve.
Scientists find new evidence.
What a fascinating... I love the title already.
Yes.
So?
It got me too. I was like, I got to know more. So one of the people behind this, her name is Melissa Ann Elardo. She's a geneticist and assistant professor in biomedical informatics. Quite the title. She's at the University of Utah.
Yes.
And she says for thousands of years, we think, they've been doing this incredible matrilineal thing where they learn from the mother how to dive at a very young age. They go out in these collectives, and that's what they do. They dive.
Yes,
So the idea is they're spending so much time underwater. Have they seriously actually been physically evolved to do this?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I've got some options for you that they considered.
Okay, what are the options?
Specifically, they were looking at this, and this was researchers in the United States, South Korea, and Denmark working together. They want to know, do the divers have unique DNA that allows them to go without oxygen for so long? Is this the result of training, a lifetime of training?
Yes.
Or is it a combination of the two? What do you think? Ooh. Care to take a guess, scientist?
Okay, without looking, I'm not a scientist.
This is a hard question.
I'm going to go with training.
Training, right?
Yes.
I think most of us would be like, yeah, it's just, anybody can do it, right? Well, the findings of their investigation published May 2nd.
Okay, are?
There are unique genetic differences in the haenyeo that have evolved to cope with the stress of freediving. That's fantastic, right? That's like,
amazing.
Because of evolution, we think it takes so long for these changes, right?
Like hundreds or thousands of years.
But there's, there's evidence of other, life forms that evolve kind of quickly, and it turns out there may be some specific DNA that they have that evolved over years, a lot of years, not like 10 years, but a long time. So basically, to find this out, they put 30 haenyeo divers with 30 non-diving women from Jeju and 31 women from the mainland here in South Korea.
Sure.
Their average age was 65. They compared their heart rates, blood pressure, spleen sizes, sequenced their genomes. That's where they really get into the DNA. And the biggest challenge was like, well, how do we replicate the diving atmosphere for the non-divers, right? So we can put the haenyeo in the water, but we can't do that to people who have never dived before. We can't be like, hey.
spleen. I was like, what is spleen in Korean? 비장.
비장.
비장까지 봤대요. Okay, 비장.
So basically what they did, they put the faces of people who are non-divers, they put their face into cold water and made them hold their breath for a bit. And it tricks your body to think
Into thinking
Yeah.
you're diving?
Yes,
Okay.
was
And?
fascinating to me. So what they ended up finding out is that when your body thinks you're diving,
Yes.
your heart rate slows down automatically.
Okay.
Your blood pressure increases, and your spleen gets smaller. It contracts.
The pigeon gets smaller.
Right,
Okay,
it
okay.
contracts. It doesn't literally get smaller, but it contracts, right? So what they found out was that the divers from Jeju and the non-divers from Jeju were 4 times more likely than mainland Koreans to have this genetic variant associated with lower blood pressure.
Sure.
So in other words, you naturally, for most of us, as you dive, your blood pressure increases, their blood pressure increases less. And they found it genetically as well in their DNA.
Really?
Which is kind of big news for other reasons, for medicine.
Sure.
So they've got a way to lower their blood pressure naturally. If people study this and figure out what proteins have changed according to their DNA changes, there's new medicine for people with blood pressure problems.
This is really fascinating.
It is.
Because, like, Haenyos have been covered
Yeah.
in other stories, which,
Right.
by the way, I wish there were more stories.
Sure. And that's
Endless
kind of the
source
point of
of
this
stories,
too.
right?
Yes.
And of course, that the whole drama on netting, I'm sure has brought even more attention to them.
Sure.
But this is like on a whole different level. We're
Right.
talking about scientific studies.
They're mermaids. They've evolved. They're different.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a fascinating look at a different facet of them. But thank you for bringing these two really different but intriguing stories to our listeners.
My pleasure.
And I wish you a very relaxed weekend.
Thank you.
Because that's what you like.
I'll see you on the hiking trail.
All right,
on
definitely.
Saturday.
Along with our PD.
That's right. All hiking together, is that it?
Yeah.
Go
with
team.
Haley's Fruit. Yes. So we'll check in with you next Friday. Thank you, Casey.
Have a great weekend.
All right. We're going to get to this song to help you relax. Don't Know Why by Norah Jones. And we'll be back at 8.
I waited till I saw the sun. I don't know why I didn't come. I left you by the house of fun. I don't know why I didn't come. I don't know why I didn't come. When I saw the break of day, I wish that I could fly away. Instead of kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand, my heart is drenched in wine. But you'll be on my mind forever. Out across the endless sea, I would die in ecstasy. But I'll be a bag of bones, driving down the road alone.
습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain and the world's only UN memorial cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어 방송.
The weather is so nice today. I'm sure this won't be a big deal.
A 3-second-long lapse in judgment can burn up an entire mountain, which will take 100 years to recover. We can protect these lush forests if you follow these guidelines. First, do not bring flammable materials to the mountains. Second, do not cook or camp in the mountains. Third, do not litter cigarette butts. Your small actions are the first step towards protecting the beautiful forest. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
Want to be a friend of BFM 부산 영어 방송? You can chat with BFM through our Kakao Talk service. You can share your messages and photos through Kakao Talk, and you can easily become BFM's Kakao friend by searching BFM through the Find a Friend option. Come share and chat with us at BFM anytime, anywhere for free. Don't forget to add BFM 부산 영어 방송 to your Kakao friends list.
Man, I haven't got a chance. I call him.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Welcome back, everybody. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan, and this is Spotlight News. American Robert Prevost elected Pope. Robert Francis Prevost has become the first clergyman from the United States to lead the Roman Catholic Church, to become known as Pope Leo XIV. Chicago-born Prevost is seen as a reformer and worked for many years as a missionary in Peru. Prevost was chosen on the second day of voting after the fourth ballot. Pope Leo XIV was presented to the world from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. Congratulations from around the world have been pouring in, including from U.S. President Donald Trump, who called the selection an honor and a meaningful moment. Kim Moon-soo and Han Duck-soo end second meeting without agreement. The second meeting between People Power Party candidate and Kim Moon-soo and former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo yesterday ended without an agreement on their candidate unification, as Kim's rift with the party deepens. Han called Kim out for not living up to his previous comments regarding candidate unification, while Kim dismissed Han's comments, saying that he has always been open but criticized Han for showing up at the last minute. Earlier in the day, Kim said in a TV interview that he has filed an injunction with the Seoul Southern District Court to prevent the party leadership from replacing him with another candidate. Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo condemned North Korea's ballistic missile launch. Senior officials from South Korea, the United States, and Japan jointly denounced North Korea's short-range ballistic missile launch yesterday, agreeing to firmly respond to Pyongyang's provocations and threats through close trilateral collaboration. South Korea's military detected the launch of multiple short-range ballistic missiles of various types from Wonsan yesterday morning, the fourth ballistic missile test by the country so far this year. The South Korean military speculated that the launch may have been part of a performance test linked to North Korea's arms transactions with Russia. Yoon Suk-yeol to attend criminal hearing next week via above-ground arrival. The Seoul High Court said yesterday, former President Yoon Suk-yeol should attend the third hearing of his criminal trial on insurrection charges next week via ground parking lot, which would expose his arrival to the public and the press for the first time. Yoon had so far entered the courthouse through an underground parking lot out of concerns over security upon a request from the ex-president, which has sparked criticism of privileged treatment. Former President Yoon must attend Monday's hearing. The court will restrict entry of all vehicles except for official vehicles from tonight through Monday. US-UK reach first tariff deal. The United States and the United Kingdom have reached a new agreement where the US will reduce import taxes on a set number of British cars and allow some steel and aluminum into the country tariff-free. U.S. President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer confirmed and praised them from their respective offices as it marks the first trade deal under the new Trump administration. However, critics said it had failed to address many of the high tariffs that remain in place between the two countries, including a 10% duty in place for most British goods. No formal deal has been signed. And this was Spotlight News. Time for Waggle Waggle. Haley's back in the studio.
Hello, hello.
Yes. So we're going to dive into our first story today where a K-League coach is under fire for his behavior during a match on Children's Day.
Of all days, right? So we're talking about soccer. K-League One's Gwangju FC head coach Lee Jung-hyo. He pushed and verbally insulted a player in the middle of a match in front of children. So this was a Children's Day event at Gwangju World Cup Stadium with Gwangju FC. Player Oh Woo-sung, he actually scored in the first half with a penalty kick, which, usually would be cause for celebration.
Right.
But then when the halftime whistle blew, Coach Lee Jung-hyo, as all the players were going into the locker room, he ran onto the field. The team's captain tried to stop him, pushed him off, pushed Oh Woo-sung hard, shoved him, and started shouting at him.
Oh, so do we know why?
Right. So Oh Woo-sung said after the match, the coach apparently earlier on had told him to go in and infiltrate, be aggressive.
Okay.
But apparently Oh was more on the receiving end of passes, so basically didn't play to the coach's instructions or liking. And that seems to have made the coach angry. And this is, again, according to Oh. They hugged it out. And then it was kind of silent for a couple of days. Criticism mounted. And then 2 days later, Oh posted on social media that his coach, whom he called not only his superior, but like the highest boss at a workplace, in a way, he first admitted to the wrongdoing and apologized. So he said basically because someone who was higher ranked than I did apologized first, it was okay. And that it must have been hard for him as coach to do this and that he was thankful that the coach did so.
Apparently the fans didn't see it that way.
Right, because we know there's a very strict hierarchy within sports.
Yes.
The problem is, that aside, fine, Oh said it was okay, but
still.
This happened in front of children. It was, again, a Children's Day event where many of the spectators at the stadium, and also it was televised
Yes.
for, again, children. So then children's development specialists weighed in. So doctors weighed in and saying, and this I think is an important message for all of us, just seeing this type of violence or outbursts can be harmful for kids.
Yes.
It can trigger anxiety and serve as a model for kids. That because someone you could look up to, obviously, if you were at the stadium, you like soccer enough, and this is a head coach and one of the major players. So there are concerns of kids mimicking or mistaking threats and verbal assaults as a legitimate form of discipline or resolving conflict.
Right.
So experts say that therefore, for the sake of education, a proper way to conclude this story would be for the coach to be disciplined and for the children to learn that violence is never the answer and there are consequences.
Right. And I do wonder, what do our listeners think about this whole situation? Because I do understand, like, sports in the heat of the moment.
Right.
Some things can be said and maybe out of the heat of passion. But still, I mean.
But then there's also a word called sportsmanship for a reason.
Exactly.
And
so
what,
I don't know.
What behavior do we want to model for children?
Right. So I don't know. And you're supposed to be a professional. Up next, there was a car parked in front of a fire station. For hours.
Yeah. Speaking of modeling behavior, that's not. So Gimpo police received a report that a vehicle was parked illegally in front of the Yangchon 119 fire station late at night, 11:13 p.m. on this past Wednesday.
Okay.
So the person who called it in, they said a suspected drunk driver had parked the car, got out, and just is gone. And that's stopping firefighters from leaving the building. And what do? They report to fires and emergencies. So the firefighters apparently tried to get in touch with the driver, but the driver, he or she, left their phone in the car, so they couldn't. And this is the part that puzzles me.
Okay.
Why don't they just call a tow truck and drag it out?
Right.
Or, I mean, in my non-professional mind, just ram it over with the fire truck is what So they wound up getting a call, that phone that the driver left. A friend wound up calling that phone. The firefighters answered that phone.
Okay.
And they requested that the friend help them call a tow truck. So maybe something about insurance? I just am baffled. Like, again,
I don't get it. Yeah.
I know that, these civic complaints, they terrify public officials. They shouldn't have to. But I understand why. And because here's the thing. They wound up moving the car 3 hours and 40 minutes after it had parked.
Right.
During the process, 2 urgent calls were delayed.
Seriously.
So again, at what point do you just ram that car? Because there should be consequences to actions, whether you're drunk or not. If you park your car in front of a fire station, which, by the way, is red and very visible. So the police are tracing the driver's whereabouts. And also, when they find him or her, they will investigate whether the driver drove drunk and look into pressing charges for impeding in the firefighters' rescue efforts.
This is where it's so different culturally.
Oh, I mean, the reason that I say ram the car is
that's what they will literally do.
Right.
They will remove your car.
Physically or
remove
drive
the car.
over it.
Yes, they will call a tow truck and tow the car.
And you pay for that tow truck.
Right, exactly. So I don't...
And those are expensive. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
But we're in Korea, so yes. The U.S. is famous for some unusual lawsuits. So we call that word litigious, right? And this one involves yet another fast food franchise.
Fast food franchises, because perhaps their popularity, they're open to a lot of lawsuits.
Yes.
And another legal term, a frivolous lawsuit. A lot of the times, the lawsuits get what's called thrown out of the court. The judge basically says, no. It's kind of ridiculous. We're not going to waste resources. However, Burger King, their famous Whopper, actually facing a federal lawsuit for false advertisement.
Oh, really?
I know.
Okay.
We've all seen this, whether it be this particular restaurant chain or really any food establishment. You look at the picture, you order the thing, you unwrap the thing, and you're like,
that
really?
Looks nothing
really?
like
Where's that lettuce? Like, well, that patty's not. So that's what happened. And 19 people in Florida felt that way. They sued Burger King, claiming that it misled customers by falsely advertising not only the Whopper, but other menu items. And they got specific because you do need to show proof that the advertisement, the photos in the advertisement, they were 35% larger with more meat than the actual burger size. So there were measurements taken. According to the lawsuit, the customers want money earned from the alleged false advertising and also for the company to correct correct this deceptive behavior. Burger King denied the claims, saying that basically it was stylistic, that the photographers styled the sandwiches more beautifully than the workers might in the restaurants. But this is important, reasonable customers, that basically you should be smart enough to know. They should know that the photos may be different. They might look more appetizing. And it actually tried to get the lawsuit dismissed. But the judge said the allegations go beyond mere exaggeration or puffery. So it's moving forward.
Souvenir님 says, 공감합니다. 최근 M사 갔는데 광고랑 너무 달라. 실망한 기억이. I'm sure we've all had experiences.
We've all had
where we're like,
experiences.
this is that?
It's like, where is it really?
Right. So it seems like there have been similar lawsuits before, correct?
Right. And again, we've all felt this. You open a bag of chips and you're like, where are the chips? Like it's like you have one. It's like, where are they? This happened in 2022 alone.
Yes.
214 lawsuits filed against food companies. And a lot of them are those quote-unquote 질소, the air or nitrogen-filled bags.
Yes.
Most of them, again, are dismissed. Similar suit against, this is news, again, McDonald's and Wendy's, dismissed in 2023. There's a Subway, the sandwich franchise, suit going on in Brooklyn right now. Companies, though, they often settle. They reach a settlement instead of spending, because time and money and publicity. They definitely don't want that. So in 2023, fast food company A&W and Keurig agreed to a $15 million settlement involving, again, deceptive labels. And that involved like vanilla. Aged vanilla on cans of soda. That was the label, but it was actually synthetic flavoring. So, yeah, be very careful. And here's what's really interesting. Again, we're seeing huge trends of hundreds of lawsuits. Why? Social media. Because normally, when we were kids, you open a package of burgers and you're like, that's so different.
Yes.
You just eat it. But what do you do now? Snap, post. And that encourages others to share the same. And yeah, so on and so forth. And also, inflation. Because things are way more expensive, we feel more entitled to at least what's kind of being advertised.
Yeah, you want to get your money's worth.
Right.
That's true. All right. For our final story, the newest trend in K something. Really? Are you sure? I mean, are you really sure? Because just because you like it,
am I
it
biased? Am I just creating news?
Hiking?
All right, I have receipts on social media. If you look up hashtags and because this is Seoul hiking, hiking Seoul, hiking in Seoul, it has over 10,000 posts.
Okay.
Right. Several reasons though. Number one, because some people, Catherine and PD님, contrary to you, y'all, they like hiking. But in Korea, not just Seoul, it's so accessible, right? Because not many countries will have mountains in the middle of a city.
That's true.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I was in northern Germany, flat land for days. I'm like, where are the mountains? I mean, it's nice to walk on, but I'm like, where are the mountains? Why is it just land?
Right.
So they're always within walking distance of subway stations and even city centers. Also, and this is what a lot of other cities can really model, Seoul Hiking Tourism Center. We often don't know about this because why would you? Again, I leave my apartment and I'm at a hiking trail in literally 2.5 minutes.
Yes.
But they actually rent out hiking boots. Hiking gear like the sticks and even hiking clothing for fairly cheap. There are lounges, lockers, and showers.
Yes.
And you know what that's great for? Travelers.
True.
So there are 3 centers, Mount Bukhan, Mount Bugak, and Kwanak. They've had 80,000 visitors in total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you weren't exaggerating and, you have all the post-hiking snacks and meals like people have been posting, right?
Again, upside of social media, they are in the know now. So now even foreign tourists, they know you have to eat ramen at the Palgakjang, at the pagoda, drink makgeolli after a hike, eat duck and other hearty meals. I'm getting a lot of pajeon. And then there was also a couple reels of expats living in Korea. They're like out of breath, following their friends, and then they're like 아줌mas and 할머nis and 아저씨s just what's wrong with you? Just very breezily walking by them. And then there was one influencer who was like, if you ever hear the name Ak in a mountain, don't go. That's gonna be the Ak you make from all the pain, like Kwanaksan, Pugaksan. So there's a bit of a social media jest to it as well. Yeah.
Right. The first hike I went on, I went with my lifetime 평생 교육원 학생들.
Oh,
and
they're older.
They're older. They're way older than I am. They're like, oh, we're going on a very easy hike. And I forgot the name of the mountain. It's here in Busan. They lie
so much.
They're like, it's easy. 제일 쉬운 코스예요.
By the way, my mom took me to 북한산, which is one of the roughest terrains when I was 10. I do remember I literally sprawled down in the middle of the hiking trail, and I was like, I can't say that on there. I was like, just step over me, leave me. I'm gonna stay here.
I was sore for 3 days. I was just not happy. Yes.
K-hiking.
Yes. So a lot of the people on our board, I see lots of votes for 파전. I also see messages for 삼계탕.
도토리묵 on the side.
Oh, 도토리묵 is good anytime. I like all the snacks after though. Definitely, I see lots of the 막걸리, and people are going on and on about the drinking. Even during our segments, you guys were going on and on, but I forgive you. It's okay.
And it's raining today, so
yes, definitely 파전 time. So thank you for all the Waggle news. We'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great weekend.
And it's time for your updated traffic and weather. Here's your updated traffic. There was a broken-down vehicle on the Namhae Expressway at the branch 제2 지선 going towards Kimhae in Karak. So another vehicle stopped toward the Daenjeong Juncture also, right by Changyu Ramp. So please be aware of these areas. There's an accident on Gayadero from Kaegum intersection going towards Donghae, right inside the Donghae-Eogwi intersection. It's backed up on Dongso Overpass right now on the Kamjeon ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. It's also looking slow on Yeonsuro from Suyeong to Magmi intersection. It is currently 14 degrees and raining here in Busan. It's going to go up to 19 degrees. As for tomorrow, we have an expected low of 14, a high of 20, and on Sunday, an expected low of 11 and a high of 22. And this was your traffic and weather.
All the times that you rain on my parade.
And this is Love Yourself by Justin Bieber.
You get in using my name. You think you broke my heart, oh girl, for goodness sake. You think I'm crying on my own, well I ain't. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care or don't. But you still hit my phone up, and baby I'll be moving on. And I think it should be something I don't want to hold back. Maybe you should know that my mama don't like you, and she likes everyone. And I never like to admit that I was wrong. And I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on, but now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. When you told me that you hated my friends, the only problem was with you and not them. And every time you told me my opinion was wrong, and tried to make me forget where I came from. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care or don't. But you still hit my phone up, and baby I'll be moving on. And I think it should be something I don't want to hold back. Maybe you should know that my mama don't like you, and she likes everyone. And I never like to admit that I was wrong. And I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on, but now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. For all the times that you made me feel small, I fell in love, now I feel nothing at all. I never felt so low when I was vulnerable. Was I a fool to let you break down my walls? 'Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. 'Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself.
This is our special interview. We all know the name Warren Buffett, don't we? Widely regarded as one of the most successful investors of all time. Well, he recently announced his retirement, at least a plan to do so, marking the end of an extraordinary era in global finance. As of May 7th, his estimated net worth stood out at approximately I'll round up, 160 billion US dollars, making him the sixth richest person on this planet. That's according to Forbes. Buffett has served as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, transforming it from a struggling textile manufacturer into a global investment powerhouse. So let's find out more about him as he hands over the reins to Greg Abel. So joining us is Professor Yang Jun-seok. He's a professor of economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Good morning.
Yes,
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. The pleasure's ours. So we really want to know. We hear his name all the time. So in your words, who is Warren Buffett?
Okay, well, Warren Buffett is, as you mentioned, CEO and chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. That's a company which invests in different companies. So it's a holding company, but they also buy companies and try to develop them as well. And as you mentioned, Berkshire Hathaway, under Buffett's leadership, has been one of the most successful investment companies in the world. And he has become perhaps the most famous investor in the world. He's often called the Oracle of Omaha because he's so much more right, has turned out to be more right than most investors and financial advisors in the Wall Street. So let me just show you how some of his record. He took over Berkshire Hathaway in the mid-1960s, and his annual average return on investment was about 20.1%. If you average it out through his lifetime, that's about at least twice as high as how the S&P stock indices have performed. And now he's aged 94, so he wants to retire at least from the position of CEOs. Apparently, he's going to remain the chairman of the Berkshire Hathaway, but one CNBC article calculated his total return since he took over Berkshire Hathaway. As I mentioned, his average return was about 20.1%. So if you start from mid-1960s when he started to invest as part of Berkshire Hathaway, and you calculate it to this year, his return over that period, 5,500%. And he's one of the few large investors who have made money this year. Of the 18 richest investors, he was the only one who actually gained value this year by about $11.5 billion. He had been getting a lot of press because he sort of expected this year to be bad.
Yes.
And apparently, he took a very defensive position starting last year, so he loaded himself with cash, and he has been able to weather this very volatile stock market that we saw this year. Now, Buffett has been known also as a philanthropist. He has given billions to philanthropy organizations, including Bill and Melinda Gates Fund.
Yes.
He has also set up, or he has children who have set up additional philanthropy organizations, and after that, Buffett plans to donate about 99.5% of his wealth to charitable trust overseen by his children, and they will have about 10 years to disburse all this money after his death. So he's quite a philanthropist as well.
Yes, indeed. And why do you think he is such a unique figure, not just as an American business person, but worldwide? People kind of tend to kind of cling on to everything kind of he says. Do you think it's only because he has been successful in his investments? But I don't know, like when I read about anything about him, like he seems like such a humble person.
Well, first of all, success talks.
Yes.
So if you're successful like he is, people are going to try to find what's so unique about him. And he does seem to be very unique in a lot of ways. If you talk about how he invests or how he gives advice about life, then he really tends to take a long view. For example, he has given advice to young people saying that what's really important is to find a job that you like and surround yourself with people you like. So if you interview him about his job, he always mentions some of his older partners. Charlie Munger comes up very often. And apparently one of the reasons that he made so much money was not only was his partners, his friends were such good investors to begin with, but also because he liked doing business with his friends. Not as a counterpart, perhaps, but cooperating, discussing what stocks to buy and so on.
Yes.
But I think what makes him unique from investment point of view is his strategy. Now, if you have a type of holding company, if you have a type of big investment company like Berkshire Hathaway, what you usually do is to seek out a lot of short-term gains. So you see a lot of volatility in the market, and what you try to do is sort of ride the waves. So if it's going up, then you buy the stocks. If it's going down, you short the stocks, and you try to gain money through these short-term transactions. But how Warren Buffett carried out his investment is it's called value investing, and it prioritizes long-term thinking and spreading money around in a wide swath of American businesses and industries. So he picks a wide variety of firms which he believes have long-term potential and holds on to these stocks for years. He mentions 10 years as a minimum. And he rides out short-term price fluctuations. He makes money through a long-term upward trend, which he makes sure that the company is very likely to have these upward trend. He either himself or through his people who work with him, they have experience in analyzing these firms, not only the short-term fluctuations, but long-term potential. So they do very careful analysis of balance sheets and so on, so that they make sure that in the long term, these companies are on an upward trend, and then they ignore these short-term volatilities because, well, markets are always going to have them. Now, that is similar to what most economists recommend for individual investors. Look for the long term, try to invest for the long term. You can't really do, especially individual investors, you can't do anything about the short-term investment, short-term price fluctuations. So trust make sure you do your studies and then trust the long term. Warren Buffett has made that strategy work out.
Yes, indeed. So, Professor, in terms of Greg Abel, who has been tapped as the next CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, what are the expectations around him?
Okay, well, Greg Abel is currently the vice chairman, and he had been the designated successor to Buffett for about 4 years. But apparently when Buffett did his press conference where he said that, not press conference, but his discussion with stockholders about retiring, Abel was caught by surprise. But because he's been the designated successor, I don't think the market or the stockholders were surprised very much, just the timing.
Sure.
And Abel is known as perhaps a bit of a nurturer. If Warren Buffett was very good at picking stocks which have long-term trends going up, Abel is known for deal making and then perhaps managing. As I mentioned, one of the things that Berkshire Hathaway does is buy companies that have potential but are not performing very well, and they build up those companies.
Right.
If Warren Buffett was good at picking those companies, Abel is good at managing those companies so that they can build up. So perhaps Berkshire Hathaway will rebalance a little bit. Instead of trying to pick stocks that have long-term potential going up, they'll buy more firms that have potential to go up, but they don't have good management. So Abel will try to nurture these companies into getting larger.
Yes, indeed. So before we wrap up today, Professor, what is maybe one piece of Warren Buffett advice that maybe we can all kind of heed in terms of, that kind of maybe touched you or maybe that you also follow?
Okay, well, as I mentioned, most economists recommend sort of a long-term point of view. If you're not able to study the market very carefully, then we recommend buying index funds where the fund tries to mimic say S&P indices or KOSPI indices. That seems to be the best strategy for individual investors, and Warren Buffett agrees. And he's been able to become one of the biggest investors by following this long-term advice. Ignores basically short-term fluctuations. There's two things I think we should remember. One, Korean investors work short-term and they like volatility, and that's what's part of the reason why you don't see that many successful individual investors. So perhaps individual Korean investors should follow Warren Buffett's advice a bit more. And then there's some structural problems that makes this long-term upward trend a bit harder for Korean companies, Korean stocks. That's why the previous president was so concerned about his Value Up program. So there does need to be some structural reforms in how Korea manages corporate governance and the stock market. So those reforms should be taken so that we have more long-term upward trending stocks.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and opinions regarding the retirement of Warren Buffett. Thanks for joining us today, Professor. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was Professor Yang Jun-suk. We talked about Warren Buffett, his retirement, and of course, legacy on the industry as well. And we're going to take a short song break before our next segment. This is Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough.
you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double just as fast as I can. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough.
It is time for Global Affairs, and guess who's back? We have, for those of you who missed last week, we have Professor Andrew Millard, and he said I can call him 안 교수님이라고 불러도 된다고 했죠?
That's
yes?
right. You can call me An 교수님, or you can just call me Andrew. I really don't mind.
Yes. So I gotta ask you your opinion on our text topic today, and I want you to be brutally honest. So, first of all, number one, do you like hiking?
No.
Okay. I love the honesty because aside from Haley outside, no one likes hiking. Our producer, Andrew, Professor Andrew, we're not much of hike. No, but our listeners, and you know, most of Korea heavily into the hiking.
Right.
I mean, it's like a national pastime. But and we were also asking, like, part two of the question was, what do you enjoy eating after the hike? Like, there's so many good places and good food to enjoy. So if you are forced to hike.
So I have been hiking a few times,
Yes.
like with groups.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't mind that. It's always nice to finish. I'm maybe a little bit more Korean now.
Yeah.
With a bit of pajeon and makgeolli.
Yeah. So that's what everybody's been like chatting about.
Awesome. Also, I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
The duck.
The ori.
The ori.
Yeah. See, people don't enjoy the hike. They enjoy the food
The
after.
food afterwards.
Definitely.
You
The
build
reward.
up to it.
Definitely. I agree. So the hike you can bear, you can go along. You can bear the hike if we get the reward at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some incentive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now that we're thoroughly hungry at 8:40 in the morning, let's dive into our segment. So what have you brought for us this week?
Okay, so last week we talked about tariffs.
Oh, yes.
Maybe quite a heavy topic. That's the first one. So this one's a little bit different, but actually something that I think everyone around the world is going to be interested in.
Okay.
And especially Korea. And the reason I chose this topic this week was, I saw an interesting article on the news related to it.
Sure.
But also I've noticed very much in Korea, this is really a rapidly developing area,
which is?
especially in my apartment, electric vehicles.
Oh, EVs.
EVs. And I say my apartment because just recently, pretty much the whole of the entire ground floor we've had these new charging stations put in. And there's suddenly 100 charging stations all over the place.
Yes.
And then just down the road, there's a new EV car dealership from I don't say the brand name, from a Chinese company. And so I've really noticed that the past couple of years, especially recently, EV market has really grown a lot in Korea, but also around the world.
Yes.
And when we think of the EV market, it's not just nice cars that we don't have to drive ourselves. It's also about the economy and how well they're doing, but it's also about environment as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of these markets that really brings in other markets with it.
Right. Speaking of apartments, was it last summer they also kind of retrofitted our B2 area where they installed new the whole B2 area with the new chargers and stuff for our apartment as well. So I remember that. It was inconvenient while they were doing the remodeling and everything. But
is that all right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they change the law in Korea because of the fires? Because there's safety concerns. So It has to be above ground.
Well, they call it B2, but it's actually above ground.
Oh, right, okay.
It's they call it B2, but our B3 is actually on the ground floor.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
All right, okay.
They call it B. B3 is actually first floor, and the B2 is second floor.
Makes
and
sense.
The B1 is on the third floor, and then the first floor apartment is actually on the fourth floor.
Okay.
So they call it, yes. But you're right, you're right. It's not actually a basement.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So?
Yeah. So, again, this is just something that in Korea, I think this is going to be such a huge market.
Right.
So Korea, from what I know, has, I think, the 5th largest market in terms of EVs, not just in terms of consumption, so people buying cars, but also because in Korea, automobile industry is so big.
It's huge.
Hyundai, Kia, Ssangnong. We have these different companies which are producing a lot of electric vehicles.
Right.
So for them, international growth of the market is going to be huge. It's going to bring in a lot of jobs to Korea.
Right. Absolutely.
And then also you have related industries. So the battery industries, again in Korea, several different companies. I don't know if I'm supposed to name companies or not.
But we're talking about it in relation to news because we're talking about how even last week when we talk about the tariffs, like I mean, are we? Okay, yeah, because we're talking about in relation to the news. I guess we can mention the companies.
So in Korea, you obviously you have Hyundai, you have SK, you have LG, you have Hanwha, all these huge companies that are all related to the battery industry as well, which is a sort of a side part of the EVs. So again, this is producing a lot of jobs, producing further technological development. So
That's
again,
true.
future growth for Korea. So you have all of these positive aspects, but a lot of people seem to think that if it's in EV and it's not producing emissions, automatically, this is good for the environment.
But is it?
I personally would say it depends on which country you're in. Because obviously when we charge the vehicle, we're charging with electricity. And that electricity has to be produced somehow.
True.
And in Korea, right now, sort of, we're going through this, maybe the start of a transition period, but still right now, Korea's electricity production is not that environmentally friendly. There's still a lot of emissions produced there.
Okay.
So effectively, right now in Korea, the way I see it, again, disagree if you like, I don't mind, but the electricity production, it's just being offset. So the car emissions are now just going into electricity production emissions.
Interesting. Okay.
But like I said, it depends on the country. If you go to other countries, especially Northern Europe countries, like Denmark, Sweden, and so on, where renewable energies are really developing very rapidly.
Sure.
And then the electricity production is much cleaner.
Sure.
Then it becomes more environmentally friendly.
I get it.
And so, again, coming back to Korea, because I want to bring everything back to Korea somehow, this idea we're having now of renewable energies coming into Korea, and it's really taking off, especially offshore wind energy, especially for this region. This is something in the next few years where I really think we can see a lot of clean energy coming into Korea.
So let me ask you this then, An 교수님. So are we then, in your opinion, are we at least on the right path? So we've started down the right path, but we're not maybe quite there yet.
Right. Exactly. So this whole idea of EVs, I really think this is a great move in the right direction because, I mean, the battery production, again, there's questions over the environmental friendliness of the battery productions and how to, what's the word? When we've finished using the battery, get rid of.
In terms of like the
waste, the battery waste.
Yes.
How to get rid of that. There's issues there. But on the whole, it is moving in the right direction. And I definitely see as batteries and things become much more efficient, then this will really become a very important market in the future.
Indeed.
And for Korea as well, it's been a huge market. It's slightly declining lately, again, because of some safety issues, because of environmental issues and so on. But in the future, I think it's really going to pick up quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely see it, you feel it, as you say, not just in your apartment or my apartment or even our producer's apartment. We definitely see it and feel it. And there have been incentives, even from the government, right? Yes, to move in that direction. Yes.
And I think also, so as I mentioned, really, these are the charging stations, the infrastructure behind. So this is a whole system change as well.
Right.
This isn't just putting it in to your plug at home and charging it like you charge your iPhone or whatever. This requires the whole country to have this whole infrastructure change as well.
Right.
And we're starting to see that. So that's going to make it much more efficient, which is also, again, that's another sort of side market. These chargers, people have to develop them, produce them. So this is creating more jobs.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
I do remember when I first came to Korea, like when you went to a 공영 주차장, like a public, parking lot, there weren't any charging, spots at all. But now you do see them.
Now you see more and more.
Yeah,
in fact,
absolutely.
It's getting to the point where if you don't drive an EV, you have to park further away now.
That's true. That's true.
But sort of related to that, one of the articles I saw, and I thought was very interesting.
Yes.
Again, was related more to the infrastructure side. And it's in China, and what they're doing is, rather than having individual charging stations, the car itself has a sort of a separate battery system where you drive into like a shop. They remove the battery. They put in a charged battery, and then you just drive off.
They swap out the battery?
So they just swap out the batteries. Which means you don't have to do your individual charging. You don't have to wait for the car to be charged because the new batteries are already fully charged.
I see. Oh, interesting.
So this is, again, this further development of the EV to make it just more efficient.
Sure.
So it was just very interesting. And I thought, I wonder if this is going to catch on in Korea also.
Okay, interesting. But I do want to get to also, because you always prepare like a lighthearted story.
That's right, yes. Don't want to be too serious.
Yeah, so let's get to our lighthearted story. What's this one about?
So last week we had a dog. This week, I'm going to 참아요.
참아. I know.
Stop myself from talking about dogs.
Okay.
But we all have phones, we all have wallets, and occasionally we all tend to forget them somewhere. And then we have to go back home or go back to the car
and
get it.
That's the worst, yes.
It's annoying. There was a story about a guy in Japan who he was climbing Mount Fuji, and then he got pretty high up and he started to feel altitude sickness. So he was becoming sick.
Right.
And he had to be rescued off the mountain.
Oh, no.
But he left his phone and his bag and things up the mountain. And 4 days later, rather than thinking, I'll have to get a new phone, he decided he would go back up the mountain to get his phone.
Oh no!
By himself.
Oh well, that would not be you, nor
be me,
our producer, nor I, because we would not be going up, right?
The same thing happened. He became sick again, so he had to be rescued for a second time.
A second time.
So this caused a bit of a controversy in Japan because the rescue costs were free. So the Japanese were like, why should we pay for this guy
taxpayer money
to be rescued
twice?
But it also just sort of reminded me of how these days we're so sort of dependent on our phones and material possessions.
Right. Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't even know if he got his phone. I don't think he did. I think he's still up the mountain somewhere. So
what if he has to go up again?
Maybe he'll go up again. I don't know.
No. And then we have messages saying, Umberto saying, no, not me either. Like he wouldn't be going up either.
No.
So, yeah. So definitely, at least there are 4 people on this planet who won't be going up to Mount Fuji. But thank you so much for bringing our attention to EVs and also this fun story as well. I don't know about fun, but interesting story about Mount Fuji. Well, we'll definitely check in with you next week. So thank you.
Okay, see you again next week. And if your listeners really want to know about a specific topic, then just let me know and we can talk about that as well.
All right. Well, we'll ask for suggestions. Thank you.
Perfect.
Everybody, this was Global Affairs. It's time to wrap up, not just for today, but for the entire week. So thank you for tuning in, for chiming in. And of course, a big thanks to our staff as well. We have our producer. We have our producer, Jo Yeji. We have our writers, Haley and Sue. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back on Monday. By the way, we have our special interview on the new Pope scheduled for Monday. Stay tuned for that. Final song for today, 예뻐서 by Day 6. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
남아있던 기억들이 떠올랐을 뿐이야 정말 하루도 빠짐없이 사랑한다 말해줬어 이제는 나와의 기억이 추억이 돼